and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. And I want to thank all of you who are joining me. I appreciate it because we're going to have a lot to talk about today. There is a lot going on right now, the legislative session. Let me go ahead and share that screen and add it to the to your screen here. And it says the meeting they're supposed to have at 3:00 is currently in recess. So, I think I saw some action on there. I don't know. Let me check out. Is something happening here? I don't know. But that's supposed to begin at 3:00. And I was going to tune in from occasion to see what they were doing other than stealing our money, taking our rights. And you know why the governor's doing this? The governor's doing this because, well, ODOT, they mismanaged $1 billion. You know how you do that. I mean, Coquille, the city of Coquille, they just mismanaged themselves out of $10 million. Just poof, $10 million gone. And their budget, I believe their city budget is $30 million. So that's a third of their budget just gone. And it was an accounting error. I don't know how this happens. I really need to investigate that a little bit more because it did happen in my neck of the woods. But the city of Coquille loses $10 million, and no one seems to be that upset about it. I don't know. The taxpayers of Coquille, they should be getting the pitchforks and the torches ready to go because these people deserve to be kicked out of office. I'm going to be talking about the Coquille mayor coming up in the next few weeks because from what I understand, he was actually trying to give away urban renewal money to individuals. Yeah, your tax dollars to individuals, but that's not surprising with the way that our government spends our money. And so that takes me to this meeting here, the meeting that's currently in recess, the one they promised that was going to start at 3:00. And of course, we're all waiting in great anticipation for this to happen. And well, it's not happening. It's very sad. But the governor, she is going to raise our taxes instead of holding anybody accountable at ODOT for losing the $1 billion. Kind of exactly what's going on in Coquille. I mean, are the voters going to hold the council and that is the city councilors and the mayor of Coquille are responsible for losing 10 million, or are they just going to overlook it? I don't know. But the governor seems to think that it's okay to allow bureaucrats, very well overpaid, underworked bureaucrats, to get away with losing $1 billion. I really don't know how you lose $1 billion. I don't even know if I could count $1 billion. If you had $1 billion in a room, if you went into a room full of $1 bills, I'd imagine that'd be a huge ass room, and you had to count on $1 billion. You think you could? I don't know. I'd give it one hell of a try, but I tell you this, I just am in absolute awe that this is happening. Because of the incompetence of ODOT. And this is the same thing I was complaining about at a port meeting recently. I was at the Coos Bay port meeting where they were talking about their strategic plan. We've got a strategic plan. Yes, our strategic plan is to spend as much money of yours as possible and not do a damn thing with it. That's our strategic plan for the port. And of course, you look at that and you go, "Oh, these jackasses." Well, they just don't know what they're doing. It's sad. I think Trump says it best.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing. 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 They don't.
And that's the port. That's the port, and that's the governor. They just don't know what they're doing. And I apologize for using the F word. The president using the F word on a Monday, but it was well deserving for the people who are sitting in Salem who are getting ready to steal our money after they have mismanaged it, and they've mismanaged it, and somehow we, the taxpayers, have to pay for the consequences of this. I mean, we have to pay for the fact that they lost the money. We're going to have to pay for that. But then we have to pay for getting the money back. And the bureaucrats who make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in their salary, they get beautiful retirement packages. You should see the retirement packages these people get. Some of them are making more money on retirement than they are actually doing a damn job. And so this takes me back to this meeting. Here we are watching the legislature be forced to come into a special session. And of course, the Republicans, the spineless Republicans that they are, they go ahead and give them a quorum. The good Republicans there, I'm sure, would like to walk out, but why bother if you can't get the bad Republicans to walk out? And of course, there is one really bad Republican there. I'm going to share this tab since we're in recess for the meeting. But I don't know if you saw this Oregon Roundup. This guy who does this Oregon Roundup, he does a great job. And it's Oregon Roundup, Substack.com. And I highly recommend it. The guy's name is Jeff. I don't know if it's Jeff Eager. If it's Eager, I'm all in because that's really cool. Jeff Eager, because he seems like an eager beaver. He sure does go after these people. He's really good about that. But Jeff Eager, whatever he's called, he has done some really good work here at the Oregon Roundup. And I highly recommend you check it out. They seem to be like a really good paper at keeping people held accountable. And it says gas tax. House GOP are definitely leaning yes. And no, it's not David Brock Smith, believe it or not. It's another one. It's State Rep Cyrus Javati. He's a Republican who represents Tillamook, believes Oregonians can't wait to fix trust issues with their state government to spend more on highways and buses. And boy, that guy couldn't be any more wrong. And this is the guy right here, Givaldi. He's an idiot. He's a moron. It's really sad that we have to have people like this who are in the Republican Party. I think it's time to purge these people out of the Republican Party. Let me make sure this is sharing properly. Yes, this is sharing properly. But I personally think it's time to purge the Republican Party of people like this. I mean, we already got the Democrats. I can't do a damn thing about the Democrats. They've got too much of a stronghold in this state. And you've got a governor who's rewarding ODOT and the bureaucrats who are in charge of ODOT for losing $1 billion. We're okay with that because we, the taxpayers, will cover it. And then you've got someone here supposed to be the stalwart of conservative values, a person who's supposed to be the bulwark against higher taxes. And what are higher taxes? It's the theft of property. And this guy, Givaldi, he believes that the theft of property is okay, as long as you people understand that it's being spent wisely. Because ODOT, after losing $1 billion, we can trust them. And right there it says, State Representative Cyrus Givaldi on the House floor. That's the photo there. And before I go any further here, I want you to look at that. Discover more at Oregon Roundup, covering Oregon's uniquely dysfunctional state government and the politics that create it. I don't know who this guy is. I'm a fan. I've got to meet this guy. I don't know who he is, but he's absolutely right. Oregon politics is dysfunction, and the parties itself are even more dysfunctional than you would believe. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But in an interview about the legislature's August 29th special session, in which it will take up to $5.7 billion tax and fee increases package to increase funding for the Oregon Department of Transportation. State Rep Cyrus Givaldi told me late afternoon on Friday he is definitely leaning in support of the package as things are now, and assuming things don't change one way or another. So he's all for this, it sounds like. It says the tax package Backed by Governor Tina Kotek, Democratic legislative leadership and public employee unions would raise Oregon's 40 cent per gallon state tax, gas tax, the 10th highest gas tax in the U.S., by 6 cents, increase vehicle title and registration fees, double the state's 0.1% payroll tax for transit, and gives the governor the power to hire and fire the director of ODOT before I believe the legislature appointed that. Kotek has said without the additional revenue, ODOT would lay off some 500 workers and scale back maintenance, snow plowing, and other services. The governor promised similar immediate layoffs if the legislature failed to act at the end of its 2025 regular session, which concluded dramatically in June without passing a tax hike. Thank God, because Javadi would have voted for it. She did not initiate layoffs then, but threatens that this time she means it. She means it. And of course, she won't be laying off all the people from the DEI woke HR department. No, they won't. They've got an entire DEI department inside the Oregon Department of Transportation. They won't be firing those people. I can assure you that that's not going to happen. Well, who are they going to be firing? I'll tell you exactly who they're going to be firing. They're going to be firing all the people that actually do the jobs, all the people who work keeping our streets clean, keeping our streets safe. All of that is going to be happening real soon if she doesn't get her way. I hope she doesn't get her way, because at this point, I don't care who she fires. Anyone working for the government, well, you should be getting worried whether your job is safe or not. I'm going to go to a quick two comments before I go any further. Sam Frost says, thank you for watching this live. And thank you, Sam, for watching this live. I guess I wouldn't have done it any other way. And Samantha says he's a bought and paid for prostitute for the Dems. And if you're talking about Javadi, I would absolutely 100% agree with you. And it just ticks me off that this guy is still, I'm sorry. I don't think I even showed you that comment. He says there, Samantha, he's a bought and paid for prostitute for the Dems. Yes, that's Javadi. That's the comment I was talking about. And yes, he is a bought and paid for whore for the Dems. It's really sad. I mean, most of our Republican politicians are owned. They are dysfunctional, no more so or no more less than the Democrat Party. But at least the Democrat Party doesn't lie to you. They tell you straight to your face that they're a bunch of commies, that they're a bunch of socialists, that they want bigger government, they want more taxes. At least the Democrats don't lie, but Republicans like Javadi, he's a liar. Oh, I know. You guys are saying, Rob, you're a big meanie because you're calling people names. Well, let's see. Javadi has voted for taxes in the past. He says he's going to vote for this tax increase for the transportation bill. And so I want to show you something that Javadi put out when he was running for office. Maybe this might prove that I'm not lying about Javadi being a liar. After the video, you tell me what you think.
Fans are fed up, but Cyrus Javity will get us back on track.
I'm Cyrus Javity, a dentist, a small business owner, and dad to 5 great kids. I'm running for a kid's future because politicians' inflationary policies hurt families and small businesses. And I'm going to fight back by cutting taxes, fees, and excessive regulations.
Send a message. Vote for political outsider Dr. Cyrus Javity.
Paid for by Cyrus for Oregon, 21757.
And I guess his name is Javadi. I've been calling him Javadi, but it's Javadi. It's Javadi. I stand corrected. Oh, I apologize. Sounds like Italian ice cream to me. I don't really care. But this guy, you just saw the video. He's promising we're going to cut fees. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to cut. And here he is. And he was talking at, right here, he was talking to the Oregon Roundup, telling them that he plans on supporting the transportation bill, one of the largest tax increases in Oregon history. And he has no problem with it. I guess he thinks that ODOT is perfectly fine and that they're going to take good care of our money. The $1 billion that they lost. That's just an oopsie, like Coquille. The government of Coquille loses $10 million, a third of their budget, and oopsie. I wish I had a job like that where I could lose 10 million or $1 billion and nothing happened. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun to be able to do that? But Jeff Pete says, Javadi us in an ass. Javadi us in an ass. Us in the ass. Yeah, Javadi us in the ass. That's it. Javadi us in the ass. That's it. I wasn't sure how to read that, but yes, Pete. I'm sorry. I wasn't quite getting that. But yeah, now once I read it a few times, you got to read it 3 times and then get faster the 3rd time you read it. That's the trick there. But I agree with you. He's really Javadian us up the ass. I mean, this guy is. It's something here when you watch these commercials from him telling us, "Oh, don't you worry. I'm not going to raise taxes. I'm not going to raise fees." And here he is. He's promising to do that. Now, let me see if the Oregon legislature is in session yet. Here we go.
The average driver consumes about 25% less fuel per year than they did 10 years ago. At today's rate, that's a little over $40 less per year in gas tax paid per vehicle. We don't have a wide variety of sources of revenue, and we do not use inflation-resistant funding mechanisms to support transportation system needs. We do have a rigid statutory structure. Less than 2% of the additional taxes and fees raised by HB 2017 were legislatively directed to state highway maintenance and operations, and we've had record inflation. Here is a wonderfully beautiful chart that shows if you look at the 40 cents in gas taxes that we collect today at the state level, it is worth approximately 17 cents in 1993 dollars. Why did we pick 1993? Because that's the last time the federal government raised the gas tax. We also aren't alone. So here's just a little grab of different headlines from the state of Washington, Wyoming, Mississippi. Folks, DOTs across the country are looking at trying to find ways to deal with the exact factors that I just laid out for you, which is declining revenues and increasing costs. And also, we as a state have been talking about the need to solve this problem since about 2020. The question I've also gotten from a lot of folks is, okay, that's great. You have statutory restrictions, but you could change those. So if you were going to reallocate state highway trust fund dollars to help pay for maintenance and operations, which is the need you've identified now, how could you do that? This grabbed kind of a list of the major sources where the state highway trust fund dollars are going currently in 25-27 that do not go to maintenance and operations currently. We have $200 million a year that's going to debt service. That is, we are contractually obligated to pay that. So that's on projects where we issued debt, and we're actually contractually obligated to pay it out of the state highway trust fund. We have $45 to $50 million a year that's going to federal fund match. You could reallocate those dollars to maintenance and operations, but when you take that match funding away, you lose $9 in federal funding. We also have
at a certain point, I expect the guy in the corner who's the sign reader just to go like that because they're screwing us. That's just my interpretation.
Not be available to local governments right now who are using them in a way that allows them to keep costs down for local projects that would be more expensive and burdensome if you took that away. For the record, most ODOT projects are already having to meet those obligations, so that's why it works. And then last but not least, we're in 25-27, which is the budget crisis we're faced with right this minute. So if you look at what projects are still unobligated in 25-27, there's $80 million there in one-time funding that you could reallocate. You would need to cancel bridge, pres, safety, and culvert projects. I'll show you a little list here in a second. If you wanted to do that, and you would need to keep doing it. So you would need to do that again in 27. You would need to keep canceling projects into the future and reallocating those funds. I did this more as a trust but verify thing. These are the projects I'm talking about in 25-27. Some of them are specific, some of them are programmatic, but that's how you get to that $82 million figure that you could reallocate. The governor chose not to do those things instead, and so LC2 does not move resources from those state highway fund programs at this time. Our objective, the governor's objective, is to stop the layoffs and the facility closures, maintain the 50-30-20 split with local governments, and support stabilization of transit service, and modernize funding tools and taxing structures to improve efficiency. The first section of LC2 that you will see should look pretty familiar to a lot of the folks in the legislature. It is on accountability, and it comes directly from House Bill 2025. That includes a performance audit by the Secretary of State. It would be reviewed by LPRO. It would grant the governor the authority to hire and fire the ODOT director. Currently, that resides with the Oregon Transportation Commission. And it would reconfigure our continuous improvement committee to provide more direct oversight over major projects and more frequent reporting to the legislature. And in general,
Did you hear that part where the governor would hire and fire the ODOT director? Did you hear that part? Yeah, not good. Not good.
that is being done in the executive branch. I have compiled that into a packet. If you do not have it, we will make sure it's posted to OLIS so you can see that as well. The next section of the bill deals with payer equity or highway cost allocation. So every 2 years, the state of Oregon completes a highway cost allocation study, HCAS, to determine if changes in weight mile and fuel taxes are needed to fulfill the obligation to subsection 3, Article 9, Section 3A of the Oregon Constitution. The past 2 HCAS have shown that heavy trucks have been paying substantially more than light vehicles. LC2 takes several steps to rectify this imbalance moving forward, including the actual inclusion of weight mile rates and tables that are calculated to restore equity, directing the Office of Economic Analysis, which is part of DAS, to study whether or not updated methodology is needed. And it includes a provision that grants the state economist, DAS, the authority to adjust rates if there is an imbalance greater than 1.05. I did not include it here, but if you go all the way to the end of this presentation,
Who is granted authority to raise rates? That's unconstitutional.
The most substantive part of the bill, and the reason why many people are here to talk to you all tonight, are the tax increases and fee increases. LC2 would raise the gas tax by 6 cents. It would raise the base registration fee for vehicles $42. And it would raise the supplemental fees for EVs and 40 plus MPG vehicles by $30. The base title fee when you purchase a vehicle would go up to $139 or by $139, excuse me. And the employer payroll tax would go from 0.1% to 0.2%. LC2 also includes mandatory, it takes the current voluntary program that ODOT has called Origo, where folks can sign up to pay by the mile instead of at the gas pump, and it becomes mandatorily enrolling certain vehicles in that program. The LC2 mirrors what was included in House Bill 2025 with 2 changes. The implementation timeline is pushed out by 1 year. This is designed to help minimize the budget impacts in 25-27. It also does not include the fee for commercial vehicles. The way that will roll out is existing EVs will be enrolled in the program starting July 1st, 27, new EVs January 1st, 28, and hybrids and plug-in hybrids would come online July 1st, 2028. There is an option in the bill that if you want to pay a flat fee instead of by the mile, you can do that. That's $340. Also, I've gotten quite a few questions from folks concerned that you would then be still paying the supplemental registration fees that are in place today. That is not true. Those you would not be paying the additional supplemental fees once the vehicle is enrolled in RUC.
We should fire them all and not pay any fees.
3.150, which eliminates the mandatory toll program. So HB 2017 put in place a set of mandatory tolling provisions for projects on I-5 and I-205 and the Boom Bridge. This would eliminate those, the mandatory toll program. All existing toll authorities still remain. LC2 also includes a modest increase in operating funds for rest areas that are managed by the Oregon Travel Information Council to avoid layoffs and closures. They have been held, I believe it's at $9.16 million every biennia since passage of House Bill 2017. So they were facing layoffs over there as well, and we've been trying to avoid facility closures with this measure. Last but not least, and I say that just because it takes up most pages in the bill, are the changes to diesel taxes and weight mile simplification. ODOT worked very closely with the Trucking Association and their members over the past decade, really, to come up with a way to simplify the weight mile tax rates. We currently have 85 of those. This would simplify down to just 10, which will simplify payment and compliance for the trucking industry. It also shifts trucks to paying a diesel tax while reducing weight mile rates. And it moves the collection point for diesel taxes to the rack or first sale, as with motor vehicle use, like with gasoline today, to improve efficiency and reduce evasion. I'm not going to go into great detail because I know there's some folks here from the trucking industry that can explain it better than me. But these are significant changes that we expect, again, will make it easier to do business here for the trucking industry and also reduce evasion. Just for example, the way we currently, right now, we have licensees, I think 2,000 licensees right now reporting in on diesel taxes, and that would go to 300 once we change the.
How much you want to bet she doesn't talk about the $1 billion that they lost? How much you want to bet they don't talk about that?
It's my last substantive slide. So what does all this do if you pass LC2? You can save 382 jobs and prevent the closure of 12 maintenance facilities for ODOT maintenance offices. You're going to see the same level of service for 24-25 that you had that winter season. That allows us to keep our critical mountain passes open, clear snow parks, and perform edgeline striping on low volume roads. You're going to be able to start filling those vacancies. I got this question a lot, but which vacancies? The commitment here is to prioritize frontline maintenance, operations, and DMV customer staff as we continue to hire folks. Project delivery. We haven't talked as much about the project delivery staff that are impacted, but it is significant. Saving those positions will allow us to deliver hundreds of projects on state highways and local roads. You're going to continue to see investment in the Portland area specifically to help keep our state highways in the metro region clean and safe. We have a lot of important contracts that we'd like to keep going there. This would allow us to do that. You're going to maintain your incident and event response levels that we've had. At the DMV in particular, we've been holding a lot of vacancies. That has made it difficult and sometimes requires us to close offices. Passing this would reduce those wait times, keep our offices open, and help us better serve customers. Last but not least, we have a lot of great administrative support that are currently impacted by these layoffs as well. Those are the folks that we need to make sure get the bills paid on time. And it also includes our IT team, who every time we have an outage, which does sometimes happen, particularly at the DMV, to help us get back online quickly. So those are some of the outcomes that we would achieve through adoption of LC2. And with that, I am going to stop talking. I really appreciate the time to walk through that. I tried to keep it brief. Absent any questions, I'd really like to turn the microphone over to LFO and LRO to walk through their analysis of the bill.
Why don't we have the panel run fully, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions.
All right. Good afternoon, co-chairs, members of the committee. For the record, Amanda Vital.
Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm gonna silence that. Silence, woman, silence. Okay, so I silenced that, and we'll keep it there in case something exciting happens. I really don't think anything exciting is going to happen. What we have here is them going over what LC2 is, what it's going to do for us, what they're going to cut, who's going to benefit from this. The truckers must have had some hand in this. It doesn't matter to me. We all pay too much damn money. The truckers, we pay too much money, the taxpayers, and this is the inefficiency of government in full display. Once again, I go back to the $1 billion that they lost. They should have started off with discussing about who lost the $1 billion, where did the $1 billion go, and who's going to take responsibility for that. Maybe if we did that first, people would have trust in their government. But the first thing they want to talk about is what this bill does and how it impacts you. Nothing about how we got into this situation in the first place. They never go over that. They never take us back to why we're here in the first place. And maybe if they did a little bit of background work for us, these meetings would be a lot better, but they just throw you right into the middle of it. And anyone can read the bill and see it's a bad bill. Let me see. Let me just remove this and add this to the stage, and I can go over what the bill does. And this is what's in the proposal: the gas tax increase of 6 cents per gallon. And remember, we're the 10th most expensive our most taxed gas tax, highest gas tax, the 10th largest in the entire nation. And we're going to increase our gas tax by another 6 cents. Registration fees are doubling. So you get a car, you have to register that car. Well, that's going up. Title fee increases from 139 to 216. I mean, who does this affect the most? 6 cents per gallon, registration fees, titling fees, payroll tax doubling to fund urban transit. We're all going to be having to take urban transit because nobody's going to be able to pay these taxes. Road usage charge phased in for EVs and hybrids because they don't pay their fair share, and EVs and hybrids are completely subsidized on many different levels. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The governor taking over appointment of the ODOT director. Section 12 will allow future gas taxes and truck fees to be raised without a vote by unelected ODOT bureaucrats, which is completely unconstitutional. It takes 3/5 of a vote to raise taxes. And so section 12 is completely unconstitutional. The governor appointing the ODOT director, that should be done through the legislature. Here's how it works. Every 2 years, a study measures whether cars and trucks are paying their fair share. Of course, we already are. We're paying more than our fair share. If the legislature doesn't act within 120 days, ODOT must step in and adjust fuel taxes and weight mile rates by rule. That's rule because they rule us like they're kings instead of, passing laws through legislative process. No, they want to rule us, but no vote, no accountability to Oregonians. This is a dangerous precedent. Oregon's constitution requires a 3/5 vote to raise taxes. The legislative scheme sidesteps that protection, and it does. It completely gets rid of this whole entire constitutionally protected. The people here, the taxpayers, are constitutionally protected. 3/5 of the legislature has to vote on raising our taxes, and here we've got a rule because they're rulers. They act like rulers. And of course, this is what Governor Kotek, King Kotek, we should call her. I don't know whether she identifies as a male or female. I don't even know if she identifies as human, but we're going to call her King Kotek because that's literally what she wants. So we're just her benign, insignificant dominion here. We're just supposed to bow and accept the fact. I don't know. Let's go back and see if they're doing anything at the legislature. Let's add this.
$1.4 billion. The numbers for 25-27 aren't quite a full biennium, so there is an increase in going from 25-27 to 27-29. That part of that increase is going from a partial biennium to a full biennium. Of that total for the highway fund, which is much of the discussion here today, for 25-27, it's $587 million, and then that grows to about $900 million in 33-35. And without walking through every detail on that table, stakeholders in the committee can peruse that when time allows, but we have that provided by light vehicles. We have detail on the RUC system as that comes online and costs get incurred, and when that revenue starts to come in. And then we have estimates for the heavy vehicles. And on page 2 of that handout, you'll see some of the distributions for the state and the counties and so forth. There's a lot of detail there taken just from the 4 corners of the bill. And we're still working on that. I would stress that these are preliminary numbers. We're still having conversations with LC and ODOT about making sure we're interpreting the language correctly for all the pieces. But these are the preliminary numbers we have, and we also need to make sure that the balance between the two, light and heavy, is appropriate for what's in current law. There's a lot, as Kelly went through, there's a lot of language about the future of HGAS. But for right now, those are the bottom line numbers for the budgetary purposes.
Thanks, Mr. Alanek. So I know that legislators are inherently inquisitive. But we have 3 hours and how many folks? signed up?
150.
Over 155 people signed up. Ms. Brooks, I'm assuming that your materials are available with for presentation through OLS.
Yes, they are.
Okay, and then for the legislators that are here, would you be available to be able to provide both written responses as well as return on Friday to be able to answer detailed questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that, I guess we'll turn to questions from committee members. I would stress that we have so many people who have traveled from a really long distance, but if people have initial questions for this panel, you're welcome to ask them now. Are there any questions? See Representative Bossart Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kelly, you on slide 8, you talked about the talking about lifting restrictions, and you mentioned those that you mentioned state highway fund. You didn't mention non-state highway fund. Is there a reason you didn't list those?
Co-chair Wagner, co-chair Fahey, Representative Bossart Davis. Yes, I limited this presentation in the example to the State Highway Trust Fund dollars since that's the current source of funding that pays for operations and maintenance today.
Follow-up?
Additional question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so with that, we could lift restrictions on specifically the privilege tax, the payroll tax that goes to transit, and those weren't listed, but a legislative change in the law could lift the restrictions on that, and we could use that money to pay for state highway fund use. Is that correct?
Co-chair Wagner, co-chair Fahey, Rep. Bossart Davis. Yes, you can change the law. Your legislature, you can change the legislative restrictions that are currently on place on non-highway trust fund sources as well, if that's what you chose to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Additional questions? Oh, yes, Representative Treason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Co-chair. I know you have your co-chairs virtual.
We're solid.
So thank you for the time, and thank you guys all for being here. I was, for all of us, this is the first public airing of this latest version. So I appreciate the opportunity to ask questions, and certainly we'll take advantage of outside this committee hearing opportunity for deeper questions. But just kind of broad brush, some of the math for me, I'm curious about, because I know in the original long session, the budget balance assumes some cost savings and some positions that were vacant positions that were captured, I think 121, if I remember correctly. And then listening to the description between the LFO document and the revenue document, it sounds like this overshoots what's required. And I hear a gap between, I think we had heard originally we were lacking $300+ million to cover these positions. That's what was missing. And then we have an $87 million ending fund balance, but then the revenue for the highway fund in this biennium looks like $587 million. So can somebody help me understand, are we buying positions back? Are those vacancy savings from the original transportation budget bill still being realized? Can you guys help me understand the math?
Sure. Chris Allen for the record. I'll point to, and I'll hand it over to Amanda in a second to get into more detail on the budget. But the 587 is the total amount from the tax, and that is pre-split. So on the back of that table, we have the amount that about half of it goes to the state, which is the ODOT budget, and the other half goes to local governments for their role in maintaining roads.
And so thank you for that. Can I clarify?
Yeah, of
So
course.
it sounds like we're holding on to the efficiencies from the original ODOT budget from the end of session. We're not buying those back. And so for our purposes, we're just meeting the needs of this cycle plus an ending fund balance of 87 million from the state perspective. Accurate?
It's co-chair and Representative Drazen, that's accurate. So to get back to the math, there was a $308 million shortfall from state highway funds assumed in the adopted budget. That's after elimination of those 121 positions. There's $289.7 million of revenue. There's a slight difference there. A couple of things to note. The original shortfall assumed an ending balance already of 75 million. So we've actually got a little bit higher ending balance. And the difference is due to ODOT reevaluating some of their capital construction expenditures. So those got brought down in forecasted expenditures. And just to be very clear, capital construction, not referring to major transportation projects. These are their facilities. So specifically, they took out South Coast Maintenance Station from their projections, which is what made up that delta between the original shortfall and to increase that ending balance from 75 to 87.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Senator Bonham.
I got two.
Your two questions. Welcome for both.
Mr. Allen, has there ever been a time in Oregon's history where the gas tax, title registration, or weight mile taxes, those three sources, has there ever been a time in the history of Oregon that we've had more revenue than we do today from those three sources?
In total dollars, inflation adjusted dollars, I think I would imagine I'd have to, in all of the history of Oregon is a big question, so I'd have to confirm that.
Understood.
And in nominal dollars, it's probably the largest amount just due to inflation, but to do that comparison over time, we would want to inflation adjust that. And that makes the math a little more tricky. And I can't really do that in my head, but I'm happy we can go back in time and look for inflation adjusted numbers to get an answer to you.
Perfect, thank you. And then secondly, Ms. Brooks, I'm curious. I've been saying this whole time that the governor has, through executive order, put cost pressures on this agency. Project labor agreements, for example, in my opinion, drive costs. The other thing, the climate protection program that ultimately creates a slush fund for environmental nonprofits to spend elsewhere could be a source of revenue for ODOT, could be a consistent and substantial source for operations and maintenance. Is there any opportunity that the governor is going to entertain an amendment to this framework that she's put forward?
Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Co-Vice Chair Bonham, thank you for the question. In terms of the first issue that you raised with respect to the Project Labor Agreement executive order, there is no intention for the governor to address that in this legislation at this time because this is a maintenance and operations package. There are no identified project spending amounts in it. PLAs apply, they do not apply to maintenance projects. So at this time, the PLA conversation from her point of view is outside the scope of LC2, certainly something that we can continue to discuss moving forward. With respect to making a change, so going from a climate protection program to a cap and invest, which is something that became a source of much discussion towards the end of the legislative session as a way to pay for transportation projects and transit service. At this point, it is not in this legislation, but it also recognizes that there's a lot that's not in this legislation in terms of the work and the transportation needs that were addressed and discussed as a part of 2025. So Governor certainly open to and interested in ongoing conversations about cap and invest, CPP, and how we pay for the rest of what we need in the system, but it's not a part of LC2.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
So I do have one more.
I'll be quick. I want to get a couple questions on the record because I think they're important. Do we know how many road miles will not be plowed in the winter if this package doesn't pass?
Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Representative Bowman, I do not have that exact number, but I can get it for you.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then my second question, and this can be answered offline if necessary, assuming that there are situations this winter where we cannot plow roads, how is emergency response impacted by those roads not being plowed? Do we have a plan in place for what happens if those roads aren't passable?
Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Representative Bowen. I know that, and I will need to get you more detail and follow up on that, but I do know that those are some of the conversations that have been happening at the regional level across the state right now between district managers and region staff and emergency providers to talk through that. What is the service level going to be and how are we going to continue to work together and get to folks when we need to if our service levels are diminished, which they would be absent additional revenue.
Okay. Our folks, okay. I just want to note, we have the next panel that I'm going to call is people that have driven over 100 miles. And so Representative Busser Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you don't have to, this can be on the record and you can get back to me, but based off of Representative Bowman's very good questions, because that's very important, are there any other options to answer those questions other than raising taxes? And so if you can get those to me by changing revenue streams by a vote of the legislature, I think those are very valuable questions. But my question would be, are there any other options other than raising taxes that we can get to answering his questions?
Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Representative Bossart Davis. So I will say that slide that I included was my attempt at showing you, hey, these are the places that are taking State Highway Trust Fund resources that you could reallocate, and here's the consequences of that. So that is what I have on that side. In terms of kind of pricing out what I would call kind of the Republican proposal in terms of those other non-highway source pieces, certainly happy to share that with you as well.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer. And you also called this a maintenance and operation bill. I also want to point out we're doubling the payroll tax. That is not just a maintenance and operations bill, unless you redirected it to answer Representative Bowman's questions. Thank you.
Okay. That's okay. Yes. No. Okay. Do we get the question on the record for additional? Okay. All right. Great.
I'll just say, I had the same question for Ms. Vital. Like, that's my question is, are there statutory changes that we can make to fill these budget holes without new tax?
Well, hell yes, there is. We can make a lot of changes. We can get rid of all that woke crap and fire a few bureaucrats. That's what we can do.
So the question I have has to do with cost responsibility.
Okay.
It's an issue that the legislatures grappled with, failed to address. As far as you're concerned, does this bill get us to cost responsibility between heavy trucks and light vehicles?
Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Senator Starr, it is designed to do so. I will let the Legislative Revenue Office continue to do their additional analysis and confirm that, but it is designed to do exactly that.
So Co-Chair Wagner, Senator Starr, we're still working through that. And it's not the numbers that we have in here, it still shows that it's very much out of balance. And so we are working through all of that language and to figure out how we need to update and modify the table that you have before you. And that's part of the reason this is preliminary. We have the totals in there, but for all of the language and all of the policy direction in the bill, that's what we're working on right now.
So just a quick follow-up. So I'm assuming potentially that there will be an amendment to the LC draft in order to adjust rates to get to cost responsibility?
I'm not aware of any amendments at the moment.
Okay, we'll put that, we'll note that for the record.
Yeah, Co-Chair Wagner, Co-Chair Fahey, Senator Starr. At this point, I am not aware of a need for such an amendment. I continue to await the additional analysis that's going to come from LPRO. I will say that the rate tables that have been included have been actively discussed and reviewed with many different stakeholders, predominantly working directly with the Trucking Association as well, because we have been in a situation of overpayment there. So it's not just about balancing for now, it's about recognizing that there has been overpayment for some time.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Is there any way we could move on, Representative, unless you really feel the dire need to put this question on the record?
So, Mr. Co-Chair, I'm going to hold my questions,
Okay.
but I want you to know that those questions are to basically balance what I just heard for the last 45 minutes as far as the questions that are out there. But I want to hear from the public. So we have much more time to talk on Friday, and I hope we'll take advantage of that.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank our panel very, very much. And with that, we'll move on to public testimony. Appreciate it. And again, for members of the committee and also
So let me explain some of this to you. If you don't know what an LC is, because they're calling this an LC2, let me silence this. I'm going to keep this playing here. Let me see if I can put myself on the screen here. Yeah, so the LC2, a lot of people don't understand what an LC2 is. What an LC2 is the term comes from legislative concept. It's the concept or a draft of a concept of what the initial version of the bill will be. In other words, it's the formal layout before actually drawing a bill. And I don't know the process for turning an LC2 into a bill, whether it will be I think this would have to be a House bill. Doesn't the tax come out of the House bill? I'm not sure which, but an LC2 isn't the actual bill number. They will have to create a bill number. It says the LC stands for legislative concept, a draft of a legislative measure written by the Office of Legislative Counsel. Now, when you go and you talk to your representatives, the legislators up in Salem, they'll tell you, oh, I drafted a bill. They don't draft shit, okay? They fill out a form saying, this is the bill we want, this is what we want it to do. And then the Office of Legislative Counsel spits that bill back out to them in wording that nobody can read because it's written in legalese. Then again, the legislative draft or the legislative concept, it indicates a specific iteration or draft of that legislative concept. The numbers are used to track changes to the proposal as it's being developed before being formally introduced as a bill. And I don't know what idiot Democrat is going to do that, or if they are going to have anyone who comes in and because sometimes they'll have a bill, there won't be anyone who's a real sponsor or not. So I don't know how they're going to do this. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. They've gotten to public testimony. I'm going to tune into a little bit of this. I hope Ronnie Daniels, he's the guy in the very first seat on the left. He is the very first guy sitting there with the red hat. I believe he has a red shirt on. That's Ronnie Daniels. He's one of our guys out there. I really hope they let him speak because he's going to dish it out. He's going to dish it out and give it to him good. So I'm going to go back to this. If it gets too boring, I'm going to go on with other things. It just all depends.
To grow without a comprehensive package that modernizes and diversifies our funding streams. We've submitted written testimony to the record as well, and we'll be happy to follow up with any else for the committee.
Thank you so much. And Mr. McCauley, short timer.
Short timer. Last committee hearing for me. Well, except on Friday if you call on us.
Thank you for your career in service, sir.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Co-chairs Wagner, Fahey, Jim McCauley, Legislative Director for the League of Oregon Cities, representing Oregon's 241 cities. Instead of duplicating, I think, the overall message that Mallory offered, I want to go into a little bit of the deliberate process that LOC goes through when we select what our priorities are for a session, because I think it's important. We have policy committee structure that it includes elected officials from across the state, staff, and they basically frame 7 different policy committees that are out there. That really is the core of how we put our priorities together and where we come out in terms of support or opposition to any legislation. The transportation component itself was on a ballot along with 23 other items. It was the second highest vote total across the state. That was very representative of our membership, small and large, rural, urban, as well as geographically. And I think it's important to understand that because when we go through the evaluation process, that's really the core of what our work is done in terms of our legislative advocacy. The elements that were important to our members certainly begin and end with 50-30-20, the state highway revenue formula. That's critically important to every single city that's out there. For many of them, it's the only stable source of funding that they have available for their operations and maintenance. The other elements include certainly public safety. We want to see HCAS fixed. We want to see a modernization within the diesel tax. We want to see EVs taxed appropriately. And we want to see basically all of the other elements that are in this LC2. It's not as robust as what we were hoping for, but it's a step forward. It's an important step forward because I think the next step for us is going to be the work towards a 27 session. And that's going to be
This guy sounds like he wants a more robust tax. Yeah, I don't know. We've already talked about the highest tax to be passed by the Oregon legislature, and this guy wants a higher tax? Ridiculous.
Mr. Wise, welcome.
Thank you. Co-chairs and members of the committee, hello, my name is Lamar Wise. I'm the political director for Oregon AFSCME. We represent 40,000 workers statewide, which that also includes 850 workers who are road crew workers, engineers, and surveyors, and whose jobs and safety are directly impacted by the legislation before you today. Oregon AFSCME urges support of LC2. Because it is about keeping our roads safe and ensuring the public can count on a reliable transportation.
It's always about keeping our roads safe, isn't it? Do it for the kids.
This bill, it preserves the traditional 50-30-20 split, the state highway fund distribution formula. This formula ensures that cities and counties where our members work every day to plow snow, patch potholes, and keep bridges open.
I don't think this guy is working anywhere to do any of that. No, this guy doesn't get his hands dirty.
Departments will continue to face impossible choices, reducing services, delaying safety projects, and asking already stretched crews to do more with less. For our members, that means fewer boots on the ground to respond to emergencies that maintain the safe roads and that families, farmers, and businesses rely on.
By the way, Ronnie Daniels, he's been on this show several times. That's the gentleman sitting behind this man. Yeah, I think he has his Trump hat on. It's beautiful. Ronnie, I can't wait for Ronnie to get up there.
And emergencies. When ODOT has fewer resources, the pressure falls directly on the cities and counties to step in, placing higher stress on local crews to keep roads safe. with inadequate staffing and funding to do so. Looking ahead, Oregon AFSCME is committed to being partners in crafting long-term solutions to our transportation system needs. While this bill is critical for our needs today, I think that's my time. Thank you so much, Co-Chair, and I'll submit the rest of my comments written. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the folks we had signed up were Jake Sievert, Roman Rourke, and Master Sergeant Lori Kimmel, and on deck, we have Jana Jarvis, Eric Zander, and Mary Dodds. I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name, but you can please provide your name for the record. And whoever wants to start, please go ahead. You can organize yourself any way you'd like.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Jake Sievert, Union County Commissioner from Union County. I represent a county with a population of around 26,000 residents, in which I asked for input on what to say today in testimony. To start with, I'll start with a story. My youngest son got his driver's license in January, got his first full-time job in June, got his first full paycheck in the 1st of August, had 90% of that check spent within 5 days. When he came to me last week needing gas money, I said no, this was a good lesson on how he should budget. As a parent, I'm there for oversight, holding him accountable for poor finance management, to have authority to do so, and then to take action to develop his budget and guide him to financial success. If I gave him gas money he wouldn't learn how to spend within his means, the same should go for any federal or state agency, especially ODOT. Union County residents have told me that they don't want more fuel tax, but instead they want accountability from ODOT. Don't cut the essential boots on the ground positions, but the inefficiencies at all government levels. Do more with less. Additional fee increases to vehicle registration further exacerbates the financial stress to every household, especially those households with more than 2 vehicles. To every business, small and large, that utilizes vehicles for transportation of goods and services and employees. Union County residents are asking for transparency. A nonpartisan forensic audit with a line item report available to the public, lessen the administrative burden, and if half of the 800 plus positions were vacant, where did the money go in the 2023-2025 budget that was accounted for them specifically? The doubling of the payroll tax is completely unnecessary. Oregon is becoming harder to retain business, let alone attract new business, and I will submit my comments further.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. My name is Lori Kimmel. I'm a retired senior non-commissioned officer. I am in opposition of LC2, and these are the reasons why. I question the constitutionality. It gives ODOT authority to adopt rules that adjust the rates, fee rates per mile, and fuel tax rates versus an elected body such as a legislator or the voters. The bill has missing amounts of how much gas tax and wage tax that will be raised in the bill. I propose that you put a hiring freeze on upper management. There are 2 jobs advertised, one for $200K and one for $250,000 salary. I propose that you reprioritize funding by LC 4934, and Oregonians rank number 3 in the nation as the poorest due to high taxes. 18% personal income tax. That lowers personal income on Oregonians and disabled veterans who are severely disabled, and they cannot find another job to make up that income. Oregon state government is ranked number 4 as the biggest and has more tax cash than 46 other states. And this concludes my oral testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We have Jana Jarvis, Eric Zander, Marie Dodds. Continuing with folks who have driven significant distance, we have Rick Kufal, Kelly Bond, B-O-H-N-E from LeGrand, and Corey Weissner from Hood River County. And if you could just again identify yourself for the record and begin your testimony. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairs Wagner and Fahey, co-chairs Bonham and Drazen, and members of the Joint Interim Committee on Transportation Funding. For the record, my name is Marie Dodds. I'm here today on behalf of AAA Oregon, Idaho to offer comments in support of LC2. As we know, Oregon's current system of securing revenue for transportation through fuel taxes is diminishing. Additional funding will provide much needed stability for the Oregon Department of Transportation, while also adding important accountability measures to ensure that every dollar is used efficiently.
Why is this woman from Idaho coming down here to tell our legislators to take more of our money? Lady, you need to get the hell wherever it is you live. I mean, we need to have an Oregonian in that seat. This woman shouldn't be testifying. This is ridiculous. AAA can go F itself.
The Department of Administrative Services can act to adjust the rates if the legislature fails to act. We believe the legislature must maintain the authority and responsibility for such adjustments in tax rates to restore equity. AAA is very aware that this package requires a financial sacrifice on the part of Oregonians who will rightfully demand that increased costs will yield real value and visible evidence of their investment. Oregonians depend on safe and well-maintained roads to drive to work,
and that's not going to happen.
Healthcare, delivering goods, bicycling, walking, and exploring our beautiful state. This also ensures safe travel over mountain passes and snowy and icy conditions, and knowing that the state's rest areas are open, safe, and well-maintained. We believe the package reflects
I can live without the rest areas. I want my money.
Funding package, including commitment to traffic safety, protecting the Transportation Trust Fund, ensuring cost responsibility between light and heavy vehicles, and accountability and transparency. Although this package is not perfect, we do believe it takes steps needed to provide the stability, accountability, and measured solutions necessary to keep Oregon moving safely and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Co-chairs and members of the committee, I'm Janet Jarvis here on behalf of the Oregon Trucking Association. There are a number of provisions in this bill, but I'm here to speak specifically to the ones related to the trucking industry. Oregon historically had been a leader in transportation taxes. We were the first to institute a gas tax in 1919 and the first to institute weight mile taxes on commercial vehicles in 1933. But we have been the last to change and update our taxing methodology of heavy vehicles to align with the rest of the country. Today, 49 states collect taxes from the trucking industry via fuel taxes. In 1983, the 48 contiguous states and the 10 provinces of Canada established what they call the International Fuel Tax Agreement, IFTA, that centralizes the data required to establish how those taxes are distributed. Today, carriers file their mileage by state to IFTA, and the fuel tax revenue they have paid is redistributed to each state. Oregon participates in IFTA today, but we don't receive any additional revenue because we don't have a diesel fuel tax. Instead, we focus on evasion. ODOT recently did a study and determined that our evasion rate is somewhat around 10%. So they add that 10% to the cost of the compliant carriers have to pay. It's past time for Oregon to fully join IFTA by instituting diesel fuel taxes for heavy vehicles. It's also time for Oregon to simplify the weight mile tax system. LC2 accomplishes both of these goals. Today, the weight mile tax has 87 rates. This would reduce it down to 10 rates by 2027, and then brings on a diesel tax in 2029. I can't stress enough that this is the most significant policy bill for the trucking industry in the past 30 years. We've spent years trying to modify our system of taxation to reduce the administrative cost to both carriers and the state, as well as allow Oregon to fully participate. We ask for your support.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Eric Zander. I serve as the chairman of the Oregon Trucking Association, and I'll be blunt. Our industry is frustrated. Back in 2017, trucking stepped up in a big way. We supported the transportation package that included a monstrous increase in taxes on our industry, with the promise that critical projects would be delivered. The promise has not been kept, and now we are again being asked to support yet another package, not for bold new infrastructure, but simply to keep basic services at ODOT afloat. Some people might say we're crazy for showing up in support of another increase when we still haven't received what was promised last time.
You're damn freaking stupid if you're supporting this bill.
Even when others won't. because transportation should not be a partisan issue. We are not the Democratic Trucking Association or the Republican Trucking Association. We're the Oregon Trucking Association, and we wish our elected officials would stop playing politics and get a package like this across the finish line.
You're an idiot if you think the politicians give a damn about the trucking industry.
Under an outdated weight mile system that could have been replaced long ago. Enough is enough. LC2 is not perfect, but we can't afford to be perfect to be used as a, but we can't afford for perfect to be used as an excuse to oppose the good.
And we can't afford this tax increase. I don't care what it fixes.
Package takes a very big and overdue step towards modernizing our tax system, simplifying an archaic process, and creating a fairer, more transparent way forward. On behalf of our members, the men and women who literally keep Oregon's economy moving, I urge you to pass LC2. Let's stop kicking the can down the road and start keeping the promises made to the people who pay the bills. Thank you.
Man, that guy is stupid. That's a new level of stupid.
Again, we have Rick Kufal, Kelly Bone, and Corey Weisner. I think they're all here in person. And then on deck, I'm going to take the liberty of the chair here. My understanding is Mayor Keith Wilson has a 4:15. Okay, so we'll have Keith Wilson, Marilyn Smith, and Jim Trent on deck. Please just begin your testimony.
All right, co-chairs, co-vice chairs, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Corey Wiesner. I'm the Public Works Director for Hood River County. I'm here today to ask for your support for the special session transportation package. Although this is not a complete reinvestment for sustainable transportation.
You know, they always get the people who are in support of this up front. And of course, the people who are opposed to it, they'll be pushed to the back. And this is how the Democrats play because it's their field. They own the stadium and it's their field that we are playing on. It's really sad. It should be the people's field. It should be the people's house. It's not. It's the Democratic Party house. It's a one-party rule state. And as you can tell by many of these last several witnesses who've testified that there is a lot of special interests who are going to get greased in this deal. And we aren't. The taxpayer, we're going to get hosed. That's right. Some people are going to get greased and some people are going to get hosed. Which end do you think you're going to be on? I know which end I'm going to be on, and I'm not enjoying this whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and take this off of here, and I'm going to add to the stage what's happening here in Coos County, because I got to go over some of the things that we're doing here. We're actually doing stuff that pertains to, well, Coos County, and it pertains to the state. We're trying to recall Tina Kotek. We have a petition for that. We're trying to end vote by mail, trying to stop the steal. So we have a petition to end vote by mail. And we have a petition so that voters would decide whether tolls should be put up on roads or not. From what I understand, I think if this is passed LC2, from what I understand, the tolling section, the legislators being allowed to toll would be taken out, but I'd have to read that. I'm not sure if that's true with LC2. Doesn't matter. We need to put this legislation up for the voters to decide for themselves so that the legislators never, ever take away voter authority again. And we're going to be in the parking lot of Napa in Bandon tomorrow. Me and Marty are going to be hanging out between 3 and 5 tomorrow, Tuesday, August 26th. We're going to be hanging out there, gathering signatures for all three of these petitions: recall Tina Kotek, end vote by mail, and vote before tolls. And we hope that you all can come out here. If you live in Bandon, please stop by between 3 and 5 at Napa. It's a beautiful parking lot. It should be a beautiful day tomorrow. It's a little bit overcast today, but that's all right. For some reason, we get a lot of overcast this time of year, but not much rain. It's very strange. But we do recommend that if you are in the Bandon area, stop by between 3 and 5 at the Napa parking lot and sign these 3 petitions. And you don't have to sign all 3 of them. If you support tolls, well, that's okay. I think you're a little crazy, but maybe you support tolling and you don't have to sign it. Just sign the other 2. But either one, if you just want to sign one of the 3, that's okay with me. You can do it all tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday, and the Bandon parking lot, Napa Bandon parking lot. So that if you live in Bandon, you know where Napa is. It's pretty easy. Let's see. I also want to let everyone know that we're going to be a stock pot on Wednesday with the same petitions between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. Boy, I'm going to have to get up real early on Wednesday. But that's okay, because Stock Pot has some really good biscuits and gravy. That's right. We're going to head over to Stock Pot. I'll probably be there about 7:30 so I can, mow down on some good biscuits and gravy and give me some coffee in me. And then from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., we're going to be collecting signatures, which will be really cool because Stock Pot has a lot of really cool people. Those are our people over there at Stock Pot. And this is happening Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And if you can't get us at Stock Pot at that time, that's okay. We're going to be at the farmers market again this Wednesday. This is central in downtown Coos Bay from 10:30 to 1. And we'd like to be there longer, but the true cold hard fact is my back can't take it, man. My back just cannot take standing too much longer than the time we have selected here. So 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we've been having a blast at the Coos Bay Farmers Market. It's been fun. We've gotten to meet a lot of new people out there. We've talked to a lot of old friends out there. So come by from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And sign the petitions. Even if you've signed the petitions, come by and say hi if you're in the area. We'd appreciate that. Brandy Martindale's going to be out there. Marty's going to be out there. I think Mary Murphy said she would be out there. So this ought to be pretty good. We're going to be having that event going on. And I want to let everyone know about this meeting right here. This is a special meetings notice for Coos County Board of Commissioners. This is a Measure 56 zoning meeting. And to be honest with you, I really don't know what it details. I don't know what's entailed in this new measure, this new ordinance, but from 2 p.m., they're having a work session, August 27th. That's this Wednesday. So what you do is you go over, you sign the petitions at the Coos Bay Farmers Market, and then you can head over to Coquille to check out this work session because they're not going to be live streaming it, which makes me want to go to the meeting more than usual. People always ask, well, Rob, why are you going to this meeting? It's just a work session. Well, I got news for you. Work sessions is where all the bones come out. This is where all the dirty details get put on public display. And this is why they usually don't stream these work sessions live because, well, they don't want you to see the dirty details of what's going to be happening here. But this is related to the hearing that is happening on September 4th. And I don't know I wish I could explain this better to you. I should have called Jill Rofe and had her on the show. Maybe she could explain it to you, but you don't have to. 2 p.m. work session. I'm going to try to live stream this. I'm going to live stream it since they're not going to be having a live stream themselves. I think I'm going to live stream this on Facebook and Rumble and YouTube and all the other channels that I have. I think this would be very good for people to see. So this is a special meetings notice, Coos County Board of Commissioners. I don't know. I wish I knew more about it, but anytime they do anything with zoning, I can guarantee you it's a land grab. There's some kind of land grab. We have to go figure it out. And it's to benefit the insurance companies. They always do this shit to benefit the insurance companies because it's $1 billion industry based on a bunch of BS conning of Americans, scaring the crap out of them so they buy expensive insurance policies. And I'm sure this has something to do with that. We'll go find out. Measure 56, this Wednesday, August 27th, 2 p.m. work session, beaches and dunes update from planning. And like I said, this is related to the meeting on September 20th. That's going to be an actual hearing, and they will be live streaming that. Let's see if I got any more. Oh, yeah, we're going to be rallying at the Capitol. Rally at the Capitol. This is happening on August 29th and from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the 29th is a Friday. I believe that's Friday. Yeah, 29th is a Friday. And so this is happening from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I probably won't be up there. This is just This is going to be too much of a travel for me because I'm going to be traveling to the state fair to help out with the booth, the and vote by mail booth that we're having up in the state fair up in Salem. But I don't know. I think they're supposed to have another one on Saturday. If they have one on Saturday, I'll go to that one. But I'll probably be missing this one. But this should be pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm encouraging people to go and to show up. But the one event that I'm encouraging everyone to go get tickets for is the Gathering of Eagles. You're going to have Lara Logan, Natalie Woods, Trevor Loudon, and Dr. Douglas Frank speaking at the Gathering of Eagles. Now, this event has been going on for several years. I was one of the first speakers at the first two Gathering of Eagles when they started this. I remember when Bob Soden had the very first one, and it was called the Rally Around the Flag event. And this is an event that's happening up in Salem. Yeah, it's going to be a drive. It starts at 9 in the morning. It goes until 4 p.m., but it's a really, really good event. I mean, Lara Loomer is going to be there. How cool. I mean, I'm sorry, Lara Logan is going to be there. Lara Logan, Natalie Wilson. I'm sorry, I think I'm getting these names wrong. Natalie Winters, Lara Logan, Natalie Winters, Trevor Loudon, and Dr. Douglas Frank. I apologize. The screen is really small when I'm sharing my other screen. And so let me get out of this and go back to where I was. So that's the Gathering of Eagles event. I encourage everyone to show up for that. It should be a blast. I think I'll be attending that. It should be a great one. Now, I do a lot of shows. And a lot of times I will do just interviews for Monday. I'm going to be doing that more often. I did a really great interview with Kathleen Marquardt from the American Policy Center. I did this a couple of weeks ago, and you can still catch this on Rumble or YouTube. If you're interested in the globalist agenda, Agenda 21, which is now Agenda 30, we discuss all of those things and how it relates to your public education system in your own town. We went all the way from the United Nations and take it all the way down to the American public education system, to your kids' classroom. That's where we take it. So this is a really good show. If you missed it, I would recommend that you go check it out. This is, like I said, you can find this on Rumble. You can find it on YouTube. Kathleen Marquardt, American Policy Center. And if you enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel and share the heck out of this. This was a really good show. And I did another really good interview with Jerry Lehman. He is the CEO and founder of the Fishermen's Stewardship Association. He's working to keep those damn wind turbines out of the fishing lanes off of Cape Cod. You wouldn't think that they would want to destroy the fishing industry in Cape Cod because, well, it's named after a fish. And so you would think that they would be more interested in protecting the fish that the place is named after than putting up a quasi semi green, doesn't really work, too expensive wind turbines in the middle of the damn ocean. But that's what they are going to do. That's what they're doing off of the East Coast. Luckily, on the West Coast, we've gotten rid of it. But it's very interesting because Jerry Lehman tells the story of what we were going to go through here on the West Coast of Oregon if this project wasn't stopped by our good president, Donald Trump. So this is another good video. Once again, you can catch it on my channel, on YouTube, on Rumble. It's still probably on Facebook. Facebook deletes all videos after 30 days, but Rumble and YouTube are a pretty good place to catch it, and I highly recommend it. And once again, like and share all that stuff. There are probably people out there who are like you, who like this kind of stuff, who like these kind of interviews. Please share that. Let's see, Alec Bowser. Alex, thank you for joining me. Says, they are in charge. We don't have a chance. Sad. And if you're talking about the Democrats, yeah, we don't have a chance. We really don't. And so that's why we're working to, change the course of the Republican Party. Heck, where did I go? Where did I go? There I am. Okay, so we're trying to change the course of the Republican Party. We've got a chair right now who He's not even answering emails or phone calls from his own executive board. We've got two people on the executive board, and that would be Chris Kesselman and Danessa Rains. And they have requested him to, asked him the question through text, through email, whether he's going to have a meeting this Thursday, with no response whatsoever. At the last meeting, which was a disaster, we had that at the Cozy Kitchen in Myrtle Point. Total disaster. And he was supposed to appoint PCPs, and he didn't at that meeting. He was only going to appoint 3 that he chose, and that's not how we've done it all these years. In the 20 some odd years that I've been going to the Republican Party, if you want to be a PCP, usually the chair would ask, does anyone want to be a precinct committee person? And people who wanted to be a precinct committee person would raise their hand. They would go, yes, I'm a registered Republican. Sometimes they would introduce themselves, and the chair would go, okay, here's an SEL 105. That's the form that has to be turned into the clerk's office. And that's it. We're done. And that's how we've always done it. But now, because it's a captured party and it's being held captive by Michael Brainerd, who's the chair, well, we decided that we're going to have our own damn meeting. We decided that we are going to have our own meeting. We're not going to put up with this crap anymore. This is just ridiculous. And so this Thursday, when we were supposed to have the Republican meeting, well, we're going to have a Republican meeting anyway, or a meeting of Republicans. And we're asking everyone who's a conservative to join us this Thursday, August 28th at the North Bend Library. I'm going to pick up a few pizzas for this thing. So, yeah, this ought to be a pretty fun time. I'm going to have a few pizzas. We'll bring some sodas and maybe some chips. We'll make a time of it. And I hope all of you can join us out there, because I know a lot of you wanted to go to the regular Republican meeting and you wanted to be a precinct committee person. I don't know what the hell's going on. I have never seen anything like this. Even Rod Taylor, who's a commissioner, an elected commissioner here in Coos County, cannot even become a precinct committee person because there's no meeting schedule. And even if there was a meeting scheduled, last 3 meetings, the chair has chosen not to appoint any PCPs. So you tell me, what does that tell you? What does that tell you when they don't even want to grow the party? They only want to keep their people in charge, and they're being led by a guy who doesn't even follow precedents. And that precedence is that we've always decided to have PCPs at every meeting, and we're not going to put up with this bullshit. And so please come out Thursday, August 28th to the North Bend Library. And I'm working on a special guest. I can't tell you right now because I haven't confirmed it. Let me double check to see if I have any messages here. No, I haven't gotten a message, but I'm expecting a special guest for this meeting. And it's sad because I tried to arrange a special guest to come down and be at the regular Republican meeting. But of course, we're not having a regular Republican meeting, so we have to have our own meeting because the chair is nuts. And so we're having this Coos County Republicans meeting. If I have this special guest show up, we'll have him at this event. It should be very entertaining. Please keep checking my Facebook page or other social media, because I will post the invite and I will post who this guest is and if they're actually going to be showing up. So I know I'm kind of giving you a teaser here. I can't confirm or deny whether this person is going to be there, but we've got a really interesting guest coming that I think you'll want to meet. He's got quite the story, and he's part of the state party. And so if he doesn't come down on Thursday, I'm sure he'll come down at another time and talk to us. I'm sure wants to resolve this situation. Let's see. I do have something that I have to give kudos to for Trump. Let me go ahead and remove this and add this to the stage. This is the conservative roof, unbiased, protected, informed. And this is, I got this article off of here. Trump's USDA puts an end to solar wind projects on American farmland. Thank God. Hallelujah. I still haven't figured out why they would put all those nasty, ugly solar panels on beautiful agricultural land in the first place. I mean, this is the same country where we got fanatics who are worried about cow farts. Okay. Yes, cow farts. They're worried about cow farts. And yet we've got the USDA who's having to put a stop to putting all those butt ugly solar panels all over American farmlands. Now, we've got a lot of buildings in this country. We've got a lot of government buildings. If they need a place for these solar panels, why don't they put them on top of these government buildings? Here in Oregon, it may not be such a great idea, but I tell you what, you go out to the Southwest, Southern California, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, all of those government buildings, if you want to use solar, that's where the hell you should put them. But to have those butt ugly solar panels on farmland is incredibly just absolutely stupid. I want to continue reading this article here. The United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, will no longer deploy programs funding solar or wind power projects on productive farmland, effective immediately. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said on August 18th, millions of acres of prime farmland is left unusable, so Green New Deal subsidized solar panels can be built. This destruction of our farms and prime soil is taking away the futures of the next generation of farmers and the future of our country. And she is absolutely right. The Biden administration had promoted wind and solar deployment across the country because Biden, well, he was an idiot and he was brain dead, if not actually dead. A decision that has been mostly reversed by the current Trump administration. Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, thank you, Mr. President. Boy, I don't care what people say about Trump. I just love what this man is doing. Rollins' decision comes as hundreds of thousands of acres of American farmland have already been converted for solar and wind power usage. Now, hopefully, they will stop a lot of that nonsense and stop subsidizing this crap. It's just nonsense. It's just like the wind turbines. I mean, if the project is a good project, let it stand on its own. And if people want to pay for it and it's profitable, believe me, private business will get into it. Let's see. I got an email here. Let's see if it was the one I've been waiting for. I might be able to confirm something. Okay. All right. Well, no, that's not the one, but that's all right. That's all right. It's just as good. But I can't confirm anything yet for that meeting on Thursday. Can't confirm anything. But it's good that Mr. Trump, President Trump, has stopped the solar panels from being, put on our all of that beautiful farmland. It's just ridiculous. Let me see if I can share this, and let's get back to this.
Is our core mission, and that is what LC2 funds. You have the constitutional authority to fund that. Please be brave and bold and do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you missed that. I had that muted. I've unmuted it so you can hear the next person. They're getting ready to introduce the other people. I really wish they would get to Ronnie Daniels. Ronnie Daniels is the gentleman sitting in the first row and the very first seat with the red shirt with the red Trump hat. Yeah, that's Ronnie Daniels. He's been on this show. He's a really great guy. I hope they call him up.
Paul Edgar. I'm from Clackamas County area, and I'm a concerned citizen. I also sit on the county's Community Action Board, working with people of need. 50% of the residents of Clackamas County are part of the people who can't afford to put a roof over their head, food on the table, and they scramble and they have cars. They can't get to where they need to go with a transit, and they're struggling. When we put together a tax package that makes people worse off, puts more people into need, we're not doing our job. The payroll tax is a tax against jobs and businesses, and the people who pay the taxes don't get any benefit from it. Zero. Transit is not used but by 0.05% of the incidents of travel that are generated. That money that goes into that pool gets played with, not necessarily intelligently. TriMet, as an example, in the Portland area, is getting less than 1% of the incidents of travel generated, yet they have 60% of the investment dollar going to them, and the roads and highways don't. My suggestion is that we should be putting transit on a diet. Period. It just has to be. We do that in corporate. I'm a corporate person. I spent my life selling my soul to the company store. Now I'm retired. Please think first.
Ms. Stryker, continuing with the testimony. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and representatives. For the record, my name is Jeff Moreland. I'm the president of Raymore Construction. We fully support the passing of LC2 that will save many jobs in and around transportation that are desperately needed to keep Oregon's transportation systems moving and in a state of good repair. Although we need resources to keep people working, we also need resources to create living wage employment opportunities, especially considering the current climate of layoffs from large employers like Intel and Fred Meyer. Several years ago, a team of us had a series of meetings with then Governor Kate Brown about the I-5 Rose Quarter project. And these meetings were centered around her commitment that this project would not only get started, but completed if we agreed to a delay. None of us here have any idea what's going to happen at the federal level, but the commitments made in House Bill 217 and the commitments made by ODOT and the governor has no bearing on that because they were made long before we received the $450 million. So now that that $450 million may go away, it's still the onus is on the fact it doesn't change the need and it doesn't absolve anyone of the commitments made. We fully acknowledge the critical nature of getting LC2 passed, but we are down here today to ask that you not lose sight of the commitments made, of the benefits of long-term benefits of capital improvement projects in terms of job creation, in terms of career pathways, in terms of wealth creation. We're asking that you stay committed to the agreements that have historically been made over the last 6 years and stay creative in future sessions and committed in future sessions to keep capital projects moving. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we had Dan Doran, Nancy Wise, Lisa Collier, and then on deck as well here in person running the list, JT Flowers, Amy Reiner, and Allison Paley or Pally. And whoever wants to start, welcome.
Greetings. For the record, my name is Nancy Wise. I am the chair of the Benton County Board of Commissioners and a co-chair of AOC's Transportation and Community Development Steering Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify this afternoon on behalf of the Benton County Board of Commissioners in support of LC2 and for maintaining the 50-30-20 split specifically. Benton County owns and maintains over 435 road miles, 93 bridges of Oregon's shared transportation system. Only 58% of our paved roads are in good condition and 12% are in poor condition or worse. We also maintain 163 miles of unpaved roads that provide access to recreation in our significant forest lands and connect our rural businesses and families. Without reliable revenue growth, our county road department will be forced to further reduce maintenance and operation services. These service reductions will result in deterioration of critical transportation infrastructure and more dangerous road conditions statewide. Benton County will benefit from about $2.2 million in annual funding from LC2 and will be able to invest in road and bridge maintenance projects with the greatest need. This funding is necessary to keep our heads above water. It is far from enough to address all of our needs, but it will move the needle. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. The Benton County Board of Commissioners appreciates this Band-Aid package and the funding it will provide to meet our most immediate needs. We also urge the legislature to work together with your jurisdictional partners to craft a comprehensive statewide transportation package that addresses the long-term transportation funding challenges we face. Thank you for your time, and thank you for serving Oregon.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Collier. I am a Wallowa County Commissioner. I want to say that thank you for adding back the traditional 50-30-20 state highway fund distribution and the small county allotment. These two things are crucial for the funding our road department for Wallowa County. Wallowa County is proud to have over 700 miles of road and 60 bridges. We have 610 miles of gravel and dirt roads that connect our businesses, ranches, families, visitors, and it connects us to our 67% of lands that fall under management of the federal government. If passed, Wallowa County stands to receive about $441,000 from LC2. This will be instrumental in keeping all of our members of our road department working and our hundreds of miles of roads safe and functional. Without the small county allotment, our county would only receive about $337,000. So it's very crucial that small county allotment is important to us. This allotment is important to Wallowa County because we have specific challenges due to the decline of our timber receipts and the pullback of our federal SRS dollars, which Congress has decided to halt this year. I want you guys to know that my support for LC2 today does not come without some hefty heartburn. I see LC2 only as a Band-Aid. Whether LC2 passes or not, we need to immediately enter into conversations to build useful and robust transportation plan to begin the 2027 legislative session that focuses on core functions of road maintenance and safety. We need a much higher level of agency accountability where we can ensure that our hard-earned tax dollars are going to be spent appropriately. We need more boots on the ground and less people in big offices. However, today I am showing up to support LC2 due to the safety of Wallowa County citizens. We can all stand back and say, heck no, and hold out to see if the threat of not plowing is real, but I'm not willing to put Wallowa County lives at stake. I will submit the rest in written testimony.
Okay, thank you. And
Good afternoon, chairs, co-chairs. My name is Dan Dorn. I'm one of the three commissioners in the legendary Umatilla County. Explaining to constituents why you can only have 2 pigs, but 6 horses, 3 roosters, and all the hens you want, and as many fowl as you can have until your neighbor complains, except all those rules go out the window if you have 4-H and FFA kids, is easier than explaining the state highway fund. It's a challenge. A very big challenge. The one thing I would like to do is thank everybody at the dais, all the legislators and the governor's office, ODOT staff that has listened to AOC staff, county commissioners, and the hundreds of conversations we've had over the last 2.5 years. They've been tough, and I don't think that they're done yet. As we move forward and overcome where we are today, whatever those results are, I think it's important that the one message that we have been able to be consistent on is the structural partnership of the state, the county, and the cities with the 50-30-20 plan. It's a structurally sound, it has history, and it produces results. We have people that work together across all three of those levels because it is a state highway fund. And I think the one thing that people, especially the legislature, but the public, the governor's office, ODOT, and all of the folks that are interested in Oregon's transportation system understands that AOC staff, all the commissioners in all 36 counties stand ready to help in any way possible to create a solid, sustainable, efficient, and accountable funding mechanism for us all to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, continuing or making every effort to continue with folks who are in person. Yeah. I think JT Flowers had to move to remote, and I don't want to violate any confidences, but maybe if you would like to share. Okay, JT, are you there? Okay, and then Amy Reiner is in person. Allison Paley is also in person. Okay, welcome. And JT, why don't you begin your testimony, please?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, co-chairs, co-vice chairs. JT Flowers, for the record, Director of Government Affairs at the Albina Vision Trust. My wife is actually in pre-labor right now, so if you don't think this is important to us, know that, thank you. And the stuff that you folks are talking about today is vitally important to all of us as Oregonians, so thank you for the work that you're doing. We are showing up today to testify in support of LC2 for many of the reasons that other folks have already articulated. I won't reiterate those reasons, but I think more so than anything else, we'd like to say as an organization that we are going to show up in the context of the special session to support keeping working people working, right? The folks who are on the other end of this particular piece of legislation are the people who make our state run. Without them, the Oregon of the future would not be built, right? Because there'd be no hands to build it. So we are adamantly supportive of LC2. We'd also like to state for the record that we haven't lost sight of the long-term priorities of our city, our region, and our state. The I-5 Rose Quarter Improvement Project remains a central focus, not only of our organization, but the central thrust of this state as we seek to repair our reputation nationally and re-anchor ourselves economically. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reinvigorate the economy of the economic heartbeat of Portland's Central City and Oregon as a state as a whole, and we have an opportunity to do so together. So as we start to look into the short session, we'd like to daylight for you folks that will be showing up to work with you to figure out ways that we can not only stop the bleeding through LC2, but work collectively to build Oregon in the future. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And please, whoever would like to start.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Amy Reiner, and I am a concerned citizen in Clackamas County. Gas is already expensive, groceries are through the roof, and paychecks don't stretch like they used to. So what is Salem's brilliant idea? Hit us with a $5 billion tax hike, because nothing says we care about working families like draining your wallet even more. Here's what's in that little gift to Oregonians: a 6-cent gas tax increase because apparently $4 a gallon wasn't painful enough, a $42 jump in registration fees, and a $139 hike in title fees. So you get to pay more just to keep driving the car you already own. And my personal favorite, they want to double the payroll tax, because clearly the best way to keep Oregon affordable is to take more out of your paycheck before you even see it. Now, if all this money was going to fill potholes and make roads safer, maybe we'd have this conversation, but it's not. This bill just props up ODOT, the same ODOT that miscalculated its budget by $1.1 billion, and the same ODOT whose projects explode and cost like clockwork. Remember the I-5 corridor project? It was supposed to be under $500 million. Now it's pushing $1.9 billion. The Abernathy Bridge costs more than doubled. If this was a private business, they'd go bankrupt, not ask us for a raise. And yes, this bill throws around some audits, but let's be clear, audits don't fix bad priorities. ODOT doesn't need another consultant report. It needs accountability, discipline, and maybe a calculator that works. So here's the bottom line. Until ODOT can balance the checkbook and fix the basics, Working Oregonians should not be punished for their failures. This $5 billion tax grab doesn't deserve our money. It deserves the biggest no in Oregon history. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Korn, you can begin your testimony.
My name is Allison Paley. I'm a Portland resident and a regular TriMet rider, and I'm here on behalf of myself and my coworkers to urge you to pass this bill and continue to work towards increasing transit funding next session. The bill you're discussing today proposes a 1% increase to the statewide Transportation Improvement Fund. If this bill doesn't pass, my household needs to buy another car and many of my coworkers will be out of a job. When you can't afford a car, and let's be clear, data released in May of this year shows that more than half of Oregon households cannot afford their cost of living already. Transit determines everything about how you live your life. You can't get a job if transit won't get you there, and that means losing out on opportunities that could lift you out of poverty. You can't live anywhere transit doesn't reach. If transit's not running, you can't get to a hospital or a doctor if you need one. And I have a coworker with type 1 diabetes who's incredibly kind, hard worker, pays her taxes, same as everyone else. Not being able to take a bus to get access to medication could kill her. If this bill fails, TriMet is going to see catastrophic cuts, including an end to service after 9 p.m. My coworkers will not be able to get home at the end of their shifts. They will have to find new jobs where they can. These are people who literally cannot afford to miss a paycheck. Pass this bill for them. But also keep working on this, please. This increase buys time, but it won't balance the budget.
Wait, your friends can't afford to pay their bills, but yet you want to give them a tax increase. Man, you are beyond stupid. You're a whole new color of stupid, lady.
Mind paying more in taxes for services I am actually receiving, and it is definitely less expensive to pay the tax increase than buy another car.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're back to, are these the folks? Did I say John, Anthony, and Michael? I think we're in person. Okay, my apologies. We had Alan Pollock, Brian Vituli, and then did Bruce Hanson had to move virtual?
No, he's here.
Oh, he is. Okay, so should all be.
Actually, Bruce Hanson is virtual.
Okay, my apologies. Doing the best I can. We're trying to get the folks in person. Alan Pollock, Brian Vituli, Bruce Hanson, and then again on deck we have Jolyn Warren, Anthony Van Ginkel, and Michael Bodker. And whoever wants to begin, just please start with your testimony.
Great. Good afternoon, co-chairs Wagner and Fahey and members of the committee.
What happened to the sound? Hello? Hello? Oh. We're losing it. We're losing connection. Come on, let's restart this. Okay, let's see if we can restart this.
Cities along the I-5
There we
corridor and beyond. Transit is not just a metro issue. It's a statewide necessity. The legislature's commitment to public transportation in 2017 with the creation of the STIF was transformational, especially here in Salem. It allowed us to add weekend service after a 10-year absence, expand youth access, and ultimately bring our ridership above pre-pandemic levels. Across Oregon, districts have launched new routes, expanded coverage, and increased reliability. These investments are what people notice. But today, transit systems across Oregon are at risk of cuts. Without new resources, thousands of Oregonians, students, workers, seniors, and people with disabilities stand to lose reliable transportation. The proposal before you, raising the payroll tax, unlike a sales tax, this payroll tax is not regressive. Those with the least income pay the least, while those who rely on it most gain the greatest benefit. The package before you will not solve every challenge, but it will help preserve core services and prevent Oregon from sliding backward. I urge you to approve this increase in transit funding as part of the broader transportation proposal. The Oregon Transit Association is hopeful that lawmakers will build on this to craft a sustainable long-term solution that addresses Oregon's transportation needs, including public transit in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to start? Just
My name is
please
Jolyn
do
Warren.
use a microphone.
I'm
So
sorry,
just
you
like
can use-
12 inches away.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there we go.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Thank you.
My name is Jolyn Warren, and I'm a resident of Beaverton and a Oregonian for most of my adult life. In the last 2 years, Oregon has spent $1.5 billion for free healthcare, including undocumented immigrants, $579 million for free housing services, including undocumented immigrants. Homeless sheds cost taxpayers $19,000 for each tough shed, where I spent $6,000 for a much nicer one for my son's home. While the homeless population continues to rise and take over our cities. You've now allocated another $45 million for legal services to protect undocumented alien deportees. In the last 2 years, Oregon has received federal funds in the amount of $1 billion highway, $152 million public transit, $1 billion bridge and highway, $19 million for electric charging stations, $65 million for clean energy, $86 million for solar, $125 million for clean water, $147 million for infrastructure reliance. Not even sure what that means. While taking $2 billion for lottery funds, $340 million in marijuana tax, $10.5 billion in payroll, $670 million in gas tax, and $433 million in vehicle registration fees. Another $682 million in Portland Metro for homeless, while the homeless continues to take over our cities. Oregon legislators have continued to spend taxpayers' funds to file lawsuit after lawsuit against Donald Trump and the feds in a potential risk for those federal funds. At the same time, businesses and hardworking taxpayers are fleeing from our state. I'm sure you can find the money necessary to pay those valuable ODOT workers without going to the taxpayers yet again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, co-chairs, co-vice chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Brian Vituli. I'm the general manager of the Tillamook County Transportation District and an Oregon Transit Association board member. I am here today to express my support for LC2. And thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you how essential our services are for our rural residents and how important increased state support is for what we do. TCTD provides public transportation options throughout Northwest Oregon and a non-emergency medical transportation brokerage for Tillamook, Clatsop, and Columbia counties. Increased funding for the STIF program, as proposed in LC2, would be greatly appreciated and will help prevent significant cuts to public transportation throughout Oregon. As I've shared with many of you over the past year, the only dialysis center in Tillamook, in the Tillamook area closed in early 2024, leaving numerous dialysis patients with no way to get to life-sustaining treatment. We are currently still providing transportation for approximately 10 individuals for life-sustaining care, 2 to 3 times per week to locations well outside of our service area as the new clinic gets up to speed and works to transition new patients into the new facility. The critical care provided to these citizens would not be possible without funding support from the STIF program. Stories like this are happening all across Oregon, and the STIF program is credited for enabling rural transportation districts like mine to answer that call. While the funding proposed in this package is not enough to allow many providers to expand service, and some cuts may still be necessary, this increase in the STIF will prevent tens of thousands of Oregonians from being stranded without access to the transportation services they depend on. Thank you for all your hard work on this vital piece of legislation. Please support LC2. Thank you.
Okay, so again, in person, Anthony Van Ginkel, Michael Bodker, on deck in person, Brett Morgan, Indy Namkung. If I'm mispronouncing names, I apologize.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah, two people.
it might be an overflow too.
We had a couple other people that were here.
Most of us don't even use public transportation. I get so tired when they want the rest of us to pay for their ride. Why is it my job to pay for their ride? Huh? You know that last lady on who was complaining because, you know, her friends, they can't even afford a car. Well, shit, man, it ain't easy for the rest of us either. And we're not going to be able to afford a car if they keep raising our taxes. Public transit is just too damn dangerous and unreliable. Nobody wants to ride it. Nobody wants to be stuck in a small tube with a bunch of crazy people. And I'm, for one, am against it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment today, and along with Governor Kotek for your efforts in convening this special session. My name is Indy Namkung. I'm the Transportation Justice Coordinator for Verde. We're an environmental justice organization. We're based in the Cully neighborhood of Northeast Portland. And along with more than 50 safety, climate, and EJ partners from across the state in the Move Oregon Forward campaign, we've been hard at work engaging you and communities like ours around this transportation package for nearly 2 years. Along the listening tour, the work groups for the winter, and during this session, we've worked alongside many people here today to bring forward options for fair revenue streams and accountability policies, all in pursuit of a transportation package that worked for all Oregonians. Verde, along with many of our coalition partners, will remain neutral on this proposal. This budget fix will provide temporary life support to vital Oregon transportation services, including transit, cities, and counties, and the thousands of workers they collectively employ. Without action, far too many of us in rural and urban communities will find ourselves stranded without basic services. However, we can't get around the fact that LC2 leaves many of our communities' most pressing needs unaddressed. In the listening tour and hearings, Oregonians in every corner of the state demanded a fairly funded package that improves accountability and supports core services while expanding safe, clean, and affordable choices. This public mandate has not changed. The low-income communities and families and community members we serve are already facing rising costs of groceries, housing, and healthcare. Now more than ever, affordable options like transit, walking, and biking are a lifeline for us, ensuring we aren't forced to take on yet another massive new cost in the form of car ownership, which outstrips the payroll tax for most Oregonians many times over. Cuts to these lifelines are still coming if we do not act soon. This proposal also creates new climate challenges that you'll hear more details on from my colleagues on this panel. We're concerned that there's a charge for electric and hybrid vehicles that will actually outpace comparable.
Let's shut that off. Boy, she's annoying. She's just going on about carbon emissions and how we're all going to die. We're going to die if we don't pass this tax. And of course, that's what they do. That's our politicians. And let me get them off the screen there. Let me remove that banner there. Yeah, pay for your own damn ride. Once again, I don't know why people think that other people should pay for their ride. I can't afford a car. So could you steal from my neighbors or maybe the entire city? Could you steal from the city and take their money and give that money to me so I can buy a car? Or better yet, I know, why don't you create a system where we pay a lot of money for a big bus to drive around with nobody on it until I need a ride, and then I'll get on the bus and pay my I think it's 75 cents to get on the bus, $1.25 maybe tops, and that won't cover the cost of anything, including the machine that I put the $1.25 in, and you guys will pay for it. Isn't that wonderful? I don't know why these people think that we should have to pay for their rides. Samantha says those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And that is true. That is true. I mean, if we keep paying for your rides and for your public transit, for your food, for your education, we're not going to have anything left for ourselves. That's the problem with socialism. Eventually, you're going to run out of our money. And we don't have anything against you people, but we get a little upset when people go to the government and tell them to steal using their authority and take money from us because we work very hard for our money and I don't want to pay for other people's rides. All right. Well, I got to get out of here. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I want to remind you, we didn't do any Where's 3H Tree Service today. That's okay. We'll do it next week. Where's 3H Tree Service? Great group of people. I highly recommend it for all your tree service needs at 541-294-1800. Call Matt. He can take care of you. Once again, that's 541-294-1800. 3H Tree Service. They do one hell of a good job. Let's see. Tom and Gigs, if you have any automotive needs, you need to get tires, struts, shocks, alignment. They can take care of all that stuff at Tom and Gigs. And they also have a heck of an RC car selection. Top of the line, largest selection in the South Coast. You can find them at 135 South Shoneman Street in the Empire neighborhood, right behind the car wash. And if you know where the car wash is, or you know where Empire neighborhood is, you know where the car wash is, 135 South Shoneman Street. And you can reach them at 541 888-4660. And let's see, they got some really great stuff. RC cars. Look at that selection of RC cars. Really cool stuff. Very good stuff there. And there they are, lift kits, performance accessories. That's Tom and Gigs right there on South Shoneman Street. And look at that. Got a lot of great stuff. They offer that guy right there. He knows everything about that car. He can help you out if you need any little parts for the car. They can take care of. They have planes, they have helicopters, and they have tannerite. What more could you possibly want? And you have to be 18 years or older to purchase tannerite. And yes, you will be asked for an ID. That's just the way they are. And Herbal Choices. For all your cannabis needs, I recommend Herbal Choices. They're one of my favorite dispensaries. The herbalchoices.com website can help you out if you need to find out more. Herbal Choices. They have 5 locations, one in Charleston, one in Coos Bay, one in Bandon, one in Reedsport, and one in North Bend. And yeah, very good people out there. And of course, Oregon Firearms Federation. Find out more at OregonFirearms.org. I got to get going. We've got a busy week. Tomorrow from 3 to 5, we'll be at the Napa parking lot in Bandon collecting signatures for all 3 petitions. We'll be at Farmers Market from 10:30 till 1 on Wednesday. We'll be at Stockpot from 8 to 10 on Wednesday. Thursday night at the Coos Bay Library at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a meeting. Wow, I just got a text. Maybe. Nope. Nothing yet. Okay, that's all right. So I will be talking to you folks on Friday for the Friday night rant, and we may be filming our broadcasting live from the state fair. Wouldn't that be cool? I'm not going to make any promises because you know how that technical difficulty stuff happens to me quite a bit because I'm just not technologically astute as I would like to be. But yeah, that should be happening. This Friday, I think, on the Friday night rant. I think we'll do that. I hope you can join us. What else?